Hi everyone, our project today is going to be the bald eagle, and that is our national bird here in America. We are not going to draw the entire bird, we're going to be drawing it magnified. So we're focusing in on the face, the beak, and everything. The second thing that you need to know is it's a combination of watercolors along with colored pencils. So that is the way that we plan to go today. So first off, we want to be able to draw our bird. So first things first, the drawing. So you want to know that if this is a paper, get your rectangular paper and do it portrait style. And we're going to place the beak first. The tip of the beak is at the lower end of it and close to the middle, but not exactly. So I put a dot right there. And it travels all the way up about that high. So a little bit more than halfway. From the side, for the right side of the beak, it's going to come about here. So we're going to create the curve. That's one. Next, the beak tends to get engulfed into the bird's feathers, so it is like a curved line. I'm going to keep it softer because I want to be able to go over it if I need to. Next, the left side of the beak, or the lower side, will sit over here and it comes up higher. So this is where you stopped your right side. The left side will probably go up to here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a dot right there. That's where my beak will end. I need to create a sharp edge to the beak, so I'm going to create that first. Our bald eagle is carnivorous. That means it hunts for small animals for its food. And that is our beak. So check your picture again. Rewind my video to see how the beak needs to be placed. This is very, very important. Right where you ended the curve over here, this is where you will put in the nostril. So it's a straight line followed by a curve right there. Now comes the placement of the eye. So again, come back to the end of this line and leave a little gap and put a dot right here. You're going to go off diagonally, not straight, not the other way. So for the most part, your line should go all the way back, but I'm going to stop it here. And then I'm going to start a second line right about here. The reason for the shift is that's where the eye is going to be. And there's a curve over the eye, but I want to draw the eye first before I do anything else. The gap between the beak here to the eye is about this much. Right here. And the front of the eye sits right over here. So you want to have a curve that touches this part and it goes back up right there. So notice that I'm overlapping here. Now I have room to kind of make an adjustment because it's really hard to be perfect all the time. So we leave a little bit of room for wiggling. If we need to, go up, and then don't touch the line right there. I want you to bend it inward right there. Again, for the front of the eye, you're going to have the tear duct, which is right there like all people do. So does our bald eagle. And then you wrap it in here. So this is the placement of our eye. That's how big it needs to be. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to extend this line and drop it down to go. And we can get rid of the place where the line is connected to our eye. We want to keep it very, very clean. We want to create inside of this a yellow line. So there's going to be a yellow kind of a skin that runs parallel all around the eye, right about here. And you don't have to worry about the dark lines that you're drawing with. Why? Because there's a lot of dark and gray around this eye, so that will cover it. Create a bright spot for your eye, and then the pupil right in here. Remember, the iris is the colored part. The pupil is what controls how much light goes into the body. Now, from the nostril, you're going to come back to the nostril, give a gentle curve, and then extend to meeting the end of your mouth right here. And you're going to bring it around the line. You're going to keep going till past the nostril here. So stop right there. Now touch the beak from where you had the hook. Leave a little space and bring another line that kind of stops right about here. And this line should be in connection with the curve up here. So this is the bigger gist of your eye and everything. Now the top side of the birds. This is one eye, hence there should be another eye right about here. So you give a little bump right about there and complete the eye. The rest is going to be its feathers. So we want to know that our feathers are going to be, I'm going to draw very light lines because I don't want to make my marking as being very dominant. This is the expanse of all the feathers that my bald eagle is going to get. The rest of the area down here is going to stay black, but that's all you're going to need to worry about. The top of the curve at the back of the beak has the feathers overlapping, so you can kind of expect a little bit of an overlap right there in the feathers. So it's going to cause a little bit of shading right there. That is the entirety of our drawing. And now we're going to first wash it down with the colors that we want, and then we are going to get into, we'll dry it, and we will go into our colored pencils. So what are we planning to do? This is our bird. Always start with your lightest colors. For the smaller parts, I plan to pick up a round tip brush. Rules of brushes. You want to hold your brush close, just like a pencil or pen. That gives you the best control. You don't want to hold it from the back. This is a stance used mainly by calligraphers in Japan, China, Asian countries, but they've had years of practice. You want to be closer up if you want to control this thing. Number one. Number two, I want to wash down yellow first. So I'm going to go ahead and get my watercolor yellow ready, and I'm just going to spread it out into the beak. Now the one place I don't want to put it is the top of the beak, where it should have a lot of brightness. And just like this, water is what connects the paint to everything. It's what affects it the most. So you don't have to feel like how it's hard. I don't want to do watercolors. Too much water, yes, it will get out of control. Enough water, it will make the movement happen, and it will give such a brilliant color that you will not regret it. So I always go in for my lighter colors first. I'm not going to do the grays on the bird's body yet. I want to get all of this done. Okay, next color that I want to implement is going to be my tiny bit of red that will mix with my yellows to give me a color blend right now. And I want it to be the most prominent over here. I don't want to go any further. Once I've laid down the color, I don't want to keep the brush unwashed. I'm going to wash my brush down so that there's no more pigment on it, and then I can spread it out. And when I spread it out now, it's going to become easier for me to control because it's not color heavy. Remember, get into the nooks of all the places that you think you need. So that's all I needed for there. Every time I take a new area, I get fresh paint. So over here, for example, I'm going to put the dot of red right there. And down here, I'm going to put red into this pocket right here. And I'll wash it off one more time. Not too much water, and I'll spread it around. Now, we want to go back in with a little bit of a darker tone on my yellow. So I'm going to bring in a tiny bit of darker ochre, I'm going to say, I like ochre. Ochre is one of the more, for even professional artists or whatever, they love the undertone being in ochre. It's one of the more natural tones, and it always complements. It's always complementing whatever you're working on, which is one of the reasons why artists reach for it so often. And around the eye, we had talked about this we started drawing. There's a yellow flesh tone around the eye, so we're going to put that in right now. And we are going to add a little brighter yellow now to that color. I don't want it to be so dark. I want a little brightness. So I'm going to, all I did was I went back and I got me some lemon yellow. And there we are. That's all you kind of need from the yellow. I have to add a little bit more yellow later on to this area, but I'm gonna wait for that. Now, next color tone is our black. When you have to do, it's like a wash effect. The bottom is dark black, but on the bird is where we're gonna go first, and we're gonna go and concentrate it. And then we're going to dilute it. We're not going to wash off a lot of areas. So for example, let's go one at a time. The area under the eye, right here, stay under the line, don't go over it. Right there. And then and we go back on top with another layer soon, which will become darker. Remember, we said we would do our finite work with colored pencils, right? So now wash the brush off. Remember, every time you want to spread that color, you want to get in and you want to really and now with the, it's like a tint. If you can see this, all I'm doing is I'm adding feather strokes in my ego. With the black, which is watered down, I'm not taking it full strength at all. The area under the eye has got darker strokes, so I'm going to, I went back to my palette, collected a little bit more pigment, and came back in. Want to bring this line forward a bit more than where it's at right now. So I extend it in. And I'm literally drawing with the tip of my brush because I have the control on it. And over here into this nook, you want to just tap, tap, tap. Tap in little dots everywhere so that you can really get so I'm putting in all the places of my black first. I'm not really trying to do anything else. take a little bit of water. If the color went on dark, it doesn't matter. I put a little bit more and I stroke. I want to work with just the tip of the brush now. So look at I'm holding the brush like this, so it's vertical. So all you should be able to see on your camera should be just the tip of my brush stick pointing at you. And if that be the case, that's perfect, because I'm very happy that I got it there. You're just working with the tones. Just keep taking a tiny bit of water every time and add in. Do not be in a rush. This is the magnified version of these birds and flowers as by Georgia O'Keeffe. These are magnificent pieces of art that we can do, and it really teaches a lot in terms of gradients and color control and how to see things from a very close-up perspective. So you really do want to take your time, pull in as much of the detail as you possibly can. Going back to get some more pigment, everybody. So as soon as I feel my brush doesn't have enough, over here this side of it is going to be stronger in color contrast, because it's not the side that we're looking at. I suppose it has something to do with the way the photographer would take a picture of the bird from the side. So the side that he takes the picture of should end up being brighter than the one that he can't capture. So that should be in the shadow, technically. So notice and a few subtle strokes up here. The bald eagle is not called bald because of it has no feathers on the top of its head. It's got feathers. It's just that the white feathers that it has on the top of the head give the feeling of baldness, and which is where it got its name from. So now before I go to create anything else, I want to go back in with a much darker black to the pupil. So I'm going to collect some concentrated color on the tip of my brush. And I really want to bring in the black now. I still have the iris to color, but because I've started with all the gray hues, I'm going to take care of this. Watercolors does not need to be messy. It is one of the more nicer paints that I like working with a lot, and so long as the color is controlled through the water, you will never feel like it's difficult. And in the situation that you find that you let it get away from you, here now I'm going to stroke over my line just like that to get a little bit of gray into the area. So just a stroke, just like this, and just a stroke. The eye will always make or break a picture. So if your eye was not done accurately or properly or to your satisfaction, chances are you're not going to like it. I am going to bring in now like a little bit of brown. I like to get some brown, so let me grab some fresh brown. And some red. The red and the brown is for the darker areas. So for example, this part right here in the nostril, this needs more color. This cannot be so light. Then the crease between the beak is not black, it is red. Again, make your brush, hold the brush vertically so only the very tip is in contact with your paper. Nothing more than that. Now for the iris, I'm going to pick up a little bit of brown, and I'll start by applying the brown into the eye right here, just all over. Clean off my brush. No more brown on my brush, just water, and I'm going to pull the color around the eye, just like this. Because this color's had a chance to set in, I'm not worried about it moving too much. Now a tiny bit of green is what I need to bring in to the eye, because the bird's eye is not brown for sure, but I like to mix right on spot. The technique of mixing colors on the artwork itself is called impasto. Typically it's done with oil paints, but even if you don't get to have oil paints, it does not make you wrong. This area gets a few speckled spots, just like this. Dot, 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 dot. Right in there. And there, that's the most of what you need. Now we go to our larger area, which is the area in here. So we are going to add in the black that we're painting right now is the black in its plumage. So that means, you know that after the head, the lower part of the bald eagle's body is not totally white. It's got a lot of dark hues, mix of mainly black, but you could also I'm not trying to draw a straight line. I want the feathers to stay like feathers, so I'm trying to get in and work to pick up on the areas that have been left white so that I can get that feathered kind of a feel. I don't want to make a straight line. That will kind of go against the whole point of it all, because the feathers will never be a straight line, especially when you're making a magnified picture. And here you go. That's the base product that you needed in your actual painting of the bird. But we're not done just yet. Sorry about the noise. But we are going to take up our heat gun. Just to clarify, heat gun is not like a hair dryer. Please know that. A heat gun releases really hot air. You do not want to put this in the hands of your student, but it dries out everything really, really well to where I can immediately go on with my colored pencils. Just a little bit more to go. Now, there we go. Now that it's shut down, I have colored pencils here. Mine's are Prismas, and Prismas gives a nice variety in color shades, but you can also use Crayolas. It's not a bad option. And you are going to go ahead and start by working more details into this thing. So for example, let's look at it one piece at a time. Around the eye here, I want to get in a little bit more darkness, and I want to be able to control it. So this lets me control it way more than anything else that I could do to it. Any little gaps that I might have left can easily be kind of secured. They can be covered up, and I can really re-enhance the entire picture. To a small feathers that was starting up from this point, going off, and I'll take a gray and I'll spread it into the main body, not just do it over here so that it looks natural. A few strokes into the main body, a few from here, and that ought to really cut. There we go. A little bit of enhanced green on the eye, just to give it a pop. Put a little extra black on the pupil so that it doesn't look kind of transparent but looks solid. So as you can see, it starts really picking up on a lot of details. So over here, right there, I don't have to do a lot. I only do as much as I feel I need to do. It's not about recoding everything, it's just about detailing it, just getting the details out. Something like this. Now look at this part here. I don't want it to be looking messy, so this is where my black comes in really handy. I can trim away this line a little bit, make this a little bit more tidier. And there you have it. That's it. You don't have to do more than this, but it helps bring out a lot of pop in the eye. If you felt like giving a little bit of patterns, reduce the pressure on your hand, almost as if you were going to stick your finger in your own eye. That's the pressure you want to use when you are coloring for different parts and want a leather a light feather, feather touch to this whole thing. That is our project on the eagle. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or if any concerns, please leave me a comment at the bottom and I will be sure to get back to you. If you have any suggestions or projects that you would like to learn, we always welcome those. So don't hesitate to ask us what you would like to really learn on, and we will take you there. See you soon. Bye now.